I took first place with Zoro, and today I'm going to show you my undefeated deck profile. With the release of Paramount War, this deck just got insanely powerful. If you enjoy content like this, make sure to subscribe.
So now without further ado, let's show off my first place Zoro deck profile. To start off, we have 4 copies of Nami. Feel like this is pretty standard. It's the searcher of the deck, 1 cost, 2k stat. It's pretty broken. Next up, 4 Sunny-kun, a card that is way too expensive at the moment, but the only way to get your hands on this is through the film promo packs. It is a 1 cost, 3k stat, and it's a counter, and it's a Straw Hat Crew searchable off of Nami, which is why everyone's trying to get their hands on this. Next, of course, we have the new card from Paramount War for Makino. So for those who don't know what this card does, this card says, activate during main, rest it, and then up to one of your red level cost 1 characters gain up to 3k stat. So obviously it's a 2k counter. On top of its effect, it's an immediate 4. There's a reason why everyone's trying to get their hands on this card to put in their red decks. So for example, Sunny and Makino together, you can use Makino, make Sunny 6k, and then along with your Zoro leader, of course, attach a Dawn. Sunny's now at 7k. Next up, another powerful 1 cost. We have Magura. Magura says on play, make 1 red character, I believe, other than itself, gain 3k stat. So again, we're just making our 1 drops, as you can see, really powerful. It's a 1k counter, very solid card. I'm not opting to play 4 because I had to make space for some other stuff in the deck. Next up, I'm playing 4 copies of Otama. Otama is an amazing card in the red deck. On play, you give a character -2k, and it is a 2k counter. Subtracting opponent's characters are really good because it pairs well with other cards in the deck that we'll play, that I'll showcase and mention later. Next up, I play 4 copies of Gordon. Gordon's a card that definitely people switch around the ratio of. I'm opting to play 4 of it. It is unfortunately not a counter, but it has an incredible effect where you can return it back to the owner's deck, so you just put it on the bottom of the deck, and then give a character -3k. It really helps swinging over big monsters, as well as like you can do plays like summon it, attack with it, and then return it to the deck and then attack with everything else. So I think this card offers amazing utility, which is why I'm maxing out on it. So next up, we have another amazing addition from Paramount War. We have 4 copies of Curly Dadan. Hopefully I pronounced that right. What this card does is on play, look up to the top 5 cards of your deck and add a red character with a cost of 1. So as you can see, we are literally playing all 1 cost, and all of these are now searchable by Dadan. So yeah, we basically have 2 searches of the deck, which is great. It has a good stat line. It's a counter. Overall, an amazing card. Definitely would not play any less of it. And then next, we have 4 copies of Brook. Big fan of this card in this deck. It's just a free card. It costs 2 to play, and then its effect on play is attached to use Dawn to a character of yours. So yeah, great card. It's also a 2k counter that's searchable off of Nami, which is probably the main reason why you play this card. Next up, we have, of course, the main man himself, Zoro. Hopefully you guys picked this up before the Paramount War, because now that Paramount War is out, this card has gone up a lot. It's a 3 cost with 5k stats, so it can hit life, and it has Rush. So obviously, I'm sure you can see why it's so good in the deck. We are playing Rush Zoro. You basically just want to rush your opponent down, and yeah, this card cannot do a better job at doing that. And this is another tech choice of mine. Some people do this. I think it fluctuates between 2 to 4 copies. I'm playing 4 copies of Nico Robin. The reason why I'm playing 4 Nico Robin is because I think this card offers an incredible utility. In case you don't know what this does, when you attach 1 Dawn to Nico Robin and attack with her, you can KO immediately, just for free, KO a character with 3k or less power. In case you haven't put together the pieces, pair up Nico with Gordon or Otama. You can use these cards to subtract a stat. Let's say you use Gordon and Otama on like a big monster, like 8-drop kit, for example. That 8-drop kit is now at 3k. Your Nico Robin can just pop in for free. That's obviously a great utility and why I kind of built my deck like this, maxing out on Otama and Gordon. Ideally, on your first turn when you hit 3 or 4 Dawn, you go summon Nico Robin. This card pops blockers, it pops your opponent's Sunnies, it pops everything that you can really want. And I think this card is way too good not to maximize on, which is why I'm opting to play 4 copies. Next up, we have another incredible addition. As you can see, I'm mentioning a lot because Paramount War really gave this deck a boost the deck needed. So we have 4 copies of Vista, the Whitebeard Pirate Vista. This card is incredible. It's so simple. On play, you K up a character with 3k stat. So yeah, it's as simple as that. You summon it, you pop a card. Can't really ask for much more. Doesn't need any other cost. It's just 3 Dawn and that's it. It's a counter. Has a decent stat line. 3k is not the best, but with Zoro and 1 extra Dawn, you can now hit life, so it definitely gets the job done. So with the utility the card provides, I feel like it's a no-brainer to play it up 4, and definitely performed well for me. Now next up, we have probably my favorite card from the new set. We have 3 copies of Edward Newgate. For those who don't know, Edward Newgate says on play, your character gains 2k stat. That's insane. Your leader goes from 5 to 7 on play. It's a 9 drop, so this is definitely like a card that you just drop in the late game for free. It also has a second effect that says you cannot add a card from your life. That doesn't really matter. That only matters if you're playing the Edward Newgate leader or not. We're playing Zoro. But nonetheless, still an amazing card. It also has the effect that if you attach 2 Dawn to it when you attack, you can destroy a card with 3k or power or less. So obviously, pair this up with Gordon and Otama, you're going to be popping a lot of powerful cards on the field for essentially the cost of 2 Dawn, which is incredible. As I was doing my research, I see a lot of people play 4 copies of Edward Newgate, and I understand why. You always want to see this card in the late game, but I believe this is the brickiest card in the deck. Every other card that we play in the deck is a low cost, which means we get to play them whenever we want since they're so cheap and as we ramp up. This, however, is the only kind of really expensive card that we play since it's 9 Dawn, obviously. So I'm choosing to play 3 copies of this card just to make space for some other stuff in the deck, but overall, a fantastic card. It definitely put in a lot of work for me in the tournament, and I definitely look forward to playing it going forward. And now last up, we have the only event card I'm choosing to play, for Jet Pistol. I think Jet Pistol provides a simple utility of KOing an opponent's character with 6k or less. So of course, with Otama and Gordon, we can basically pop anything on the field what we want, which is what really makes this card insane in this deck. Another big benefit to this card is that it makes it so our characters can just attack our opponent's life, and we can use Jet Pistol to deal with threats on board. So with playing 4 copies of Jet Pistol, I am really maximizing on the offense. I'm really not too interested in playing defensive options in this deck. I'm not playing Radical Beam, I'm not playing Guard Point, which are decent options in the deck. I know I've seen a lot of lists playing them. However, I think this deck is better suited into just fully committing to the offense. I think the offense is way too strong, and a utility card like Jet Pistol is just out threats, out blockers, is way too good in my opinion to not play, which is why I'm maxing out on 4 copies. And that wraps up my first play Zoro deck profile. If you have any questions or comments or advice, feel free to drop it in the comment, and make sure to subscribe if you like the video. I've been having a ton of fun with the deck, and I cannot wait to play more tournaments with it. So fingers crossed we can pull off another win.